Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I very much appreciate the altruistic motivations that I've heard in support of this legislation. But quite frankly, I don't believe America's financial condition is such that it supports spending this money that we don't have on these projects. The realities of America's financial condition, quite frankly, are rather dire. Over the past 5 years, we have averaged trillion-dollar deficits every single year. That's been our average. To put that into a different perspective, I'd ask the members and the audience to think in terms of their own personal finances. How long could each of us stay out of bankruptcy if year after year after year for 5 consecutive years, 30% of our operational costs, what we spent to live on, was borrowed money? Yet that is the financial condition of the United States of America over the past 5 years. We have economic history that we can look at that tells us what the dire consequences are going to be if we continue on this path. You can look at Detroit and Stockton, major cities in the United States of America. They're in bankruptcy because of this tendency to spend money that you don't have, which politicians are also apt to do. Now, in Detroit, they're battling in bankruptcy over whether retirees of the City of Detroit are going to receive the pensions that they earned during their lifetimes and that they now need during their elderly years. We can look at Spain and Greece, again, a couple of governments who have not had financial constraint and who have been spending money that they do not have. Their unemployment rate right now exceeds 25% in both of those nations. Now think about that for a moment. Those are unemployment rates because of financial irresponsibility that are worse than at any point in time during America's Great Depression of the 1930s. You can look at Argentina and Venezuela if you want more examples of the consequences of the path that we're on, where in 1 month their currency was devalued anywhere from 17, 18% on the low side to roughly 50% on the high side in 1 month. Of course, you're going to have economic adverse consequences from that. Or you can look at Puerto Rico, a part of the United States, which just 2 weeks ago, Fitch downgraded their sovereign debt to junk bond status. Puerto Rico is going to be suffering for years, if not decades, because of the financial irresponsibility of their leadership, where they didn't properly prioritize and where they didn't say no to good things, not because they don't want to do those good things, but because they don't have the money with which to do those good things. Let's be clear then. Every penny that is spent by America on building power plants and power lines in Africa is borrowed. It is money we do not have and money we do not have the ability to pay back. That having been said, there is some issue about whether this bill is going to cost American taxpayers money. I would direct everyone to Section 6 of the bill, which is page 11, where we're going to be guaranteeing loans. Quote, U.S. aid should identify and prioritize loan guarantees to local sub-Saharan African financial institutions. That's money that the United States of America is on the hook for. If you go to the very next paragraph, it's talking about partnerships and grants. Again, taxpayer money that would have to be spent. If you want to look at Section 8 on page 13, the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, which, by the way, we appropriated $55 million for in FY 2012, and the President is asking for $72 million in 2014 in his budget proposal. That also is going to be assisting with investments that in turn costs money, ultimately that may be American taxpayer money. And before I go any further, let me emphasize, U.S. aid does not come cheap. We're talking $17 billion in FY 2014, $17 billion. That's how much that's costing American taxpayers. Or if you want to go to Section 9, Director of Trade and Development, page 17 again, this one is talking about, if you'll bear with me while I get to that page, the Director of Trade and Development Agency should promote United States private sector participation in energy sector development. Okay, that's administration. That's going to cost money for us to do that. Seek opportunities to fund project preparation activities, including power generation. There's a whole slew of things that are going to cost, but the bottom line is this. There is no way that anyone can say that this is not going to cost American taxpayers money. It is, money that we don't have. You can make the argument that the money is going to be spent anyways, and that we ought to spend it on this program, which is a separate argument. But I would submit in response that once you lock this legislation in, it's going to be very difficult to cut the funding to conform to the financial circumstances that we face as a nation. So while I admire the altruism that is expressed so far, I regret that because of our nation's financial condition, I cannot support spending American taxpayer dollars on power lines and power plants in Africa.
To recognize